question from Instagram from our friend. I think her name is Gillett. I don't know if that's her name or if it's the business name, but she says she has a question about competition. So she's getting ready for her very first competition in jiu-jitsu, and she's really nervous about it. She says she's getting conflicting information about what she should do. Should she, just chill out and not do anything? Should she drill carefully, or should she just drown in a pool of anxious tears? So, so she's like wondering what I would recommend. And she said another big problem that she has is that she doesn't feel very comfortable with takedowns, but she also wants to be on top and she doesn't want to play from the back that much. So, first off, thank you for the question. And we talked about this through Instagram, so I'm kind of, telling you through video. But, again, for me personally, if I was your coach, I would say obviously you don't want to drill, you don't want to train too hard, leading up to the competition. Because for me personally, and this is my opinion, because there's different ways to go about this. There was one time I was in California and I got invited to this gym. I was out there for the Pans, and I got invited to this gym to come train on like a Wednesday. We're competing on Saturday, and on Wednesday, guys were training really hard. I walk into the gym expecting kind of like a nice light rolling day just to kind of get a sweat in, and guys are throwing down, and I just wasn't ready for it. That's not typically the way I train. Usually for me personally, Monday, Tuesday, those are my last hard days, and the rest of the week is simply visualization and drilling. And in your case, I would say that the most important thing that you're going to have to drill, being your very first tournament and being the fact that you don't really feel too comfortable with takedowns, is going to be drilling your opening of the match. Okay, and so what I talk about opening is it's almost like a chess game. When you start to move the first couple of pieces, that kind of sets the tone of the match early on. And so in the opening, that's typically when the nerves are the highest, because once you start moving, you're just moving at that point. You're rolling, right? But in the beginning, that first opening of the match, the first minute or so, that's when it's really you get really anxious and you don't feel quite yourself. And so what I would do if I was you, and so obviously give you this advice already, is to make sure that you're drilling the opening of your match over and over and over again, hundreds of times, right? Talk to your coach and see if you can grab a partner and just work on that stuff over and over and over again, because you want to drill and then you want to visualize being on the mat as many times as you can. So this way, when you finally step out on the mat on Saturday, right? You've been there before. You've already been there. You've done that. And you can almost move robotically. I tell my students all the time, the opening of the match, I try to get them to be almost robotic, right? There is no, when they step on the mat, there is no okay, what am I going to do? Right? You don't want to be like that, because you don't want to step on the mat and think, okay, what now? That was one of my worst performances as a blue belt came when I didn't have a game plan at all, and I stepped onto the mat, I locked up with the person and went boom right here, and then I thought to myself, I remember this, I thought to myself, okay, what now? And for the rest of the match, I was scrambling, right? And so when you go on the mat, you want to make sure that you have your moves ready to go. And I actually, if you guys don't know how to do a game plan at all, talk to your coach, obviously, to help out. But I've also got a little PDF thing that you can download on my website. If you go down to the description below, there's a link somewhere in there that says something about a game plan. Just click on that, and you can get it for free. It actually even has a list. It actually shows my game plan that I use for the most part in a flow chart, and so you can look at that as well. But going down the list, basically, especially on the takedowns, it's almost going to be robotic, right? I'll have typically 3 to 5 moves that I'm going to work on, and I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just go for those moves over and over and over again. And there was one match in particular that I remember where I went for, I stepped on the mat, and I had been drilling a takedown series that had 3 moves to it, okay? And so when I started going with the person, I went for move 1, 2, and 3, and they all failed. And so then I started back at 1, and then 1 eventually worked, right? So it was 1, 2, 3, and then boom, 1 finally came out. And I was just going down the list, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it needs to be the same way, because the thing is if you step on the mat and you're not ready, for a competition, and you're clouded because you're thinking about, okay, what do I do now? It's taking up all the brain power that you have just to figure out what you're going to do, right? And so then if you have to sort of think on the fly, you're not going to be able to. Whereas if you come into the competition and you know exactly what you're going to do, you lock up with the person and you start moving towards the grips that you need to do to execute the moves, and then the person gives you something else that's there, you'll be able to see those moves, because you're because you kind of know the general direction you're going. So if you have to take a side road to get there, you can do that, right? You can say, oh, well, he gave me this leg instead, so I'll just take that leg. And so that's super important. So you want to just visualize yourself on the mat, drill the moves over and over and over again, get your game plan ready, get your opening ready, so that as soon as you start that match, there's no question about what you're going to do. You're going to do move A, B, C, or whatever it is, and you're going to do that stuff over and over and over again. And again, I think that that's really important, because I think that a lot of people, if they just had a better opening to their game plans, as far as when they compete, would succeed so much more. Because again, once you hit the ground, once you're rolling, you're just kind of rolling. But that first initial sort of movement is really important, because one of the things I was reading a post. I know this video is starting to go all over the place, but I was reading this post and it was talking about jiu-jitsu statistics, right? Competition statistics, and it's like an overwhelming number of people win if they score first, right? So if you score first, and it was something we used to always say in wrestling too, right? Be first. If you score first, then your chances of winning just, they shoot up. I want to say that the statistic was like either like around in the upper 70s, maybe 80%. I may be off, but that's a huge stat, right? So again, saying that you're going to be, you're more than likely 3/4 of a chance you're going to win, right? You're going to win this match if you score first. So it's important that you be first, whether that means you're going to pull guard and sweep or you're going to go for a takedown. And the easiest way, I think, to be first is simply to go out on the mat with an objective on your mind, right? So when you grab a hold of that girl, that woman, and you're like, boom, we're locking up, and you're going, you make sure you know exactly what you're doing from that point, and you just go down that list of moves that you have for your game plan. Okay, I'm done talking. I'll talk to you guys next time. Good luck on your tournament this weekend. I hope you do well, and thanks for the question.